the Honorable Minister for Women and Child Development, Government of India, my esteemed sister, Justice P.V. Nagaratna, the Judge Supreme Court of India and Chairperson, Juvenile Justice Committee, my esteemed colleague, Justice J.B. Pardiwala, my colleagues in the audience, Justice Anjaria, Justice Aradhe and Justice Pancholi, Mrs. Jasmine Pardiwala, all my esteemed brothers and sisters from different high courts, the esteemed members of the district judiciary, the senior officials of the Government of India and state governments, the child rights activists, the Registrar Generals, and the members of the Supreme Court Registry, and distinguished participants. It is a privilege to address this distinguished gathering at the National Annual Stakeholders Consultation on Safeguarding the Girl Child. I am delighted to see this collective of judicial minds, government representatives, child rights advocates, and development partners coming together with a shared purpose. That is to reflect on how far we have come and how far we must go in ensuring that every girl child is truly empowered. Consultations such as this are expression of a nation's conscience and its continuing moral commitment to its children. For if the collective conscience of a nation is measured by how it treats its most vulnerable, then the strength and destiny of that nation are inextricably linked to the well-being and empowerment of its daughters. Yet, we must ask ourselves, what does it truly mean for a society to claim that its children, especially the girl children, are safe? Can safety exist where dignity is denied, voices are silenced, or dreams are constrained by circumstances? These questions lie at the very heart of our constitutional culture and the responsibilities we bear to every child. It is precisely to confront these questions that this consultation serves as an important forum for reflection, a space to reaffirm our collective constitutional conscience. It invites us to examine whether our efforts have succeeded in translating protection into genuine empowerment, and whether our society enables every girl to be seen, heard, and valued. To answer these questions, we must look to our constitutional history. From the Constituent Assembly debates to the progressive expansion of fundamental rights, we see that a nation advances when every historically marginalized section of society finds both recognition and representation in its journey of growth. The Constitution provides specific safeguards. In this regard, Article 15(3) permits the state to make special provisions for women and children. This provision was adopted because the framers of the Constitution were concerned about the exploitation of childhood through child labor, lack of education, poor health, and material deprivation. By Article 15(3), they sought to preserve the state's authority to enact welfare, protective, and special treatment laws for children as well as for women. Without the carve-out in Article 15(3), measures such as child labor restrictions or juvenile justice protections could have been challenged as discriminatory. Children were and remain particularly vulnerable, especially in the context of labor and industrial employment. The Constituent Assembly thus recognized the state's duty to provide education, nutrition, and health care for children. Furthermore, the preamble's commitment to justice, equality, and fraternity, read together with Article 14, 15(3), 21, and 39, places a solemn obligation on the state and every public institution to prevent harm and at the same time actively create conditions in which the girl child can flourish. The protection and empowerment of the girl child, therefore, is an essential element of the Constitution's transformative vision. Safeguarding a girl child in this context means nurturing her voice, curiosity, ambitions, and sense of self-worth. It means ensuring she can learn without fear, dream without limitation, and participate fully in the life of a community and nation. When our laws, policies, and institutions create these conditions, they not only protect an individual girl, but uphold the very promise of our republic. Over the decades, India has responded by enacting multiple legislative measures aimed at protecting and promoting the development of children, particularly girls, including the Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Act, the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act, and the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act. Complementing these legal frameworks, the executive has formulated policies and programs designed to uplift and socially empower the girl child, reflecting a sustained commitment to gender-sensitive development. Yet, despite these constitutional and legal guarantees, many girls across India continue to be tragically denied their fundamental rights and even basic necessities for survival. This vulnerability exposes them to disproportionately high risks of sexual abuse, exploitation, and harmful practices such as female genital mutilation, malnutrition, sex-selective abortions, trafficking, and child marriage against their will. This demands a deeper examination of the social, economic, and cultural barriers that continue to impede the girls' lives. Furthermore, in today's technological era, where innovation defines progress, it is important to recognize that technology, though empowering, also brings new vulnerabilities, especially for the girl child. The threats faced by young girls are no longer confined to physical spaces. They extend into the vast and often unregulated digital world. From online harassment, cyberbullying, and digital stalking, to the misuse of personal data and deepfake imagery, the challenges have evolved in both scale and sophistication. I also want to highlight the issue of intersectional discrimination. A girl who is both in a marginalized caste and living with a disability may face compounded disadvantages and multiple layers of societal discrimination. We must pay attention to this nonsense. Our institutions, policy frameworks, and enforcement authorities must therefore be attuned to the realities of our times. Training programs for police officers, educators, health professionals, and local administrators should consequently incorporate a sensitive approach, equipping them to respond with empathy, nuance, and contextual understanding. Laws addressing online sexual exploitation, digital trafficking, and cyber harassment must be paired with effective enforcement, education, and awareness initiatives. Protecting the girl child must become a core priority of digital governance, ensuring that technological progress is accompanied by ethical safeguards. As we advance into a digital future, technology must serve as a tool for liberation rather than exploitation. Safeguarding the girl child today means securing her future in classrooms, workplaces, and on every screen that she encounters. Equally important is the mission to protect and empower the girl child in fostering widespread public awareness about the rights, the protections, and welfare schemes already established for children, particularly girls and juvenile in distress. Too often, well-meaning citizens, upon encountering a trafficked, abandoned, or abused girl, simply do not know what exactly they can do. This lack of awareness limits the effectiveness of existing frameworks and delays timely care and rehabilitation for the affected child. Thus, there is an urgent need for comprehensive campaigns to educate citizens on responding to child labor, begging, sexual exploitation, trafficking, and other abuses. Awareness programs must reach rural communities, schools, and local self-governments, empowering the citizens to act knowledgeably and responsibly. Our efforts must reach every corner of the country and should not be limited to only the national capital. In this context, the consultation is crucial. It addresses a wide range of issues, including the functioning of the PCPNDT Act, education, child labor, the POSCO Act, child marriage, and gaps in the implementation of various laws relating to the girl child. It is comprehensive discussion on the rights of all children, and I congratulate the organizers for conceptualizing this program. I thank the Honorable Minister for Women and Child Development for her presence here today. While the judiciary can play a role in reforming the rights and ensuring accountabilities, the primary responsibility for implementing these rights rests with the executive. In protecting the rights of children, especially girls, and executive plays the most crucial role, as they are the primary stakeholders in these issues. I acknowledge the role of the Juvenile Justice Committee, ably headed by my esteemed sister Justice Nagaratna and Justice Pardiwala. Their guidance and efforts have been invaluable. In fact, I must thank my learned sister for giving me an opportunity to be here. In fact, I was to travel out of India today to address an international conference, but see, issue mandamus, and I had to abide by it. And I chose to speak on an international conference through an online mode. I appreciate the efforts of the UNICEF India for always extending necessary support to our institutions in our shared goal to give a better future to our children. In conclusion, I am reminded of Rabindranath Tagore's timeless poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear, that captures the very essence of what we seek to achieve in safeguarding the girl child. He dreamt of a nation where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free. That vision remains incomplete so long as any girl in our country lives in fear. Fear of violence, fear of discrimination, or of being denied the chance to learn and to dream. To secure her safety is not merely to protect her body, but to free her spirit. To create a society where she can hold her head high in dignity and where her aspirations are nourished by education and equality. Tagore's warning against the dreary desert sand of dead habits reminds us that we must confront and overcome the deep-rooted patriarchal customs that continue to deny girls their rightful place. Only when every girl child grows in an environment of freedom and respect can we say with conviction that our nation has awakened into that heaven of freedom of which Tagore so beautifully spoke. Coincidentally, today is the International Girls' Child Day. The theme of this year's Child Day is empowering girls for a bright future. Let us all collectively work in that direction. Thank you very much.